2001, France banned fracking throughout the country. Later on in 2012, Bulgaria also banned fracking due to their worries of environmental degradation. This should be a first sign of, there's an issue here. You know, around the country, people have been able to light the water coming out of their faucets on fire. There's been earthquakes happening where they don't belong. They use up to 7 million gallons of water per well that they have to drill for this method of extracting natural gas. Basically, you're probably wondering what fracking is. Fracking is the method that the gas company is using to reach the unreachable natural gas a mile or so below the Earth's surface in the shale. What they do is they'll drill a well down and they'll pump pressurized water through this perforated pipe, which in turn fractures the shale rock, releasing all the trapped natural gas and other things that we don't want released back into the atmosphere. Um, Basically, there's highly radioactive water from years of decay and all kinds of gases that occasionally leak out of the pipes and reduce the drinking water. One of the issues is that oil companies are not required to release the chemicals used in their fracking fluid. They have all kinds of additives in there, diesel fuel, antifreeze. These help lubricate the water to flow freely through the pipes. In 2005, there was a bill passed by Congress that exempted fracking from the Clean Water Act, which is not good. Um, Pennsylvania has no underground pockets to pump this water, where most states are required to do. So what they do is they'll send their water to the waste treatment plant, and the waste treatment plant, they're not required to test for radiation or other chemicals that are in the fracking fluid, so they just essentially pump the water right back out, no cleaner than it was before. Um, it seems like a good idea that most states pump their water underground, but it's not at all. So scientists have been, trying to study, what's actually being treated in this water, and they've been test. The plants won't let them test water there. What they've been doing is going to streams that are running off the plants on public land to test the water, and what they're finding is very high levels of radiation in all the streams. And because radium has a half-life of 1,600 years, it's not going to go anywhere. If we don't clean it up, it's going to stay there and leach into the water. Kudos to the Eureka Resources Company for finding a proper way to treat the water, being able to get all the radiation and harmful chemicals out. But it's costly, and the companies don't want to pay extra, and they won't pay extra until they're forced to. So this is where the government needs to step in and regulate the treatment. Not allowed to be pumped, or even allowed to be pumped underground, where it's not. It can't affect drinking water, which is good, but we can't have access to it because it's so far in the ground. And we need to at least force the wastewater plants to test for radium and bromide, because the radium can lead to harmful side effects, and the bromide, when mixed with chlorine, a chemical used by many rural areas to treat their well water, it forms toxic chemicals and can get people sick. We could start out by starting a petition to publicize the work of these scientists, and this will in turn push the people, to push the government, which will in turn push the companies. Since radium has a half-life of 1,600 years, it needs to be treated now, or we can need to be reached into the drinking water. And this will lead to things such as anemia, cataracts, cancer, even kill you in the long run. Bromide combined with the chlorine, like I said, used in rural water supplies, causing toxic chemicals going into people's faucets. Watersheds are being poisoned, and methane is being released in people's wells from leaching out from the drilling sites. And it's been in such high levels in some places that the people can actually set their tap water on time. And for example, when I said the company uses around 7 million gallons of water per well, 30% of that is trapped underneath in the shale and is unrecoverable at all. You can't even get it back out, even if you wanted to. Let me kind of put that into perspective. That's 2.1 million gallons of water that get trapped underground per well. And say the average American family uses 300 gallons of water a day. Sounds like quite a bit, but it would take the average family over 19 years to use the amount of water that gets trapped underground during each well drilling. Some states requires companies to pump all of their water underground and then of it. That way, it can't contaminate the drinking water, which is great. But then we can't treat it, access it. I mean, what happens when we have no more fresh water? Or all the water we have is radioactive. For example, also Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, and Texas have been experiencing rising earthquakes because all the pressurized shale causes shift, crack, causing the ground to move. And usually, where they're not experiencing very many earthquakes, they're experiencing much more and becoming much more common. We need to act as one to let Congress know that this is a serious problem and we're concerned about it, and we need to hold companies accountable for treating their water, because if they're not held accountable for treating their water, they won't do it. And also, a big step that would help is if we make companies reveal what they're using for their fluid, because then people will realize how big of a deal this actually is, and then it'll start a snowball effect, causing people to uprise against this, and eventually get to the government level. So the government needs to act swiftly and firmly on this one. The longer we wait, the worse the problem will get. The more wells that will be contaminated with methane, the more wells that will produce toxic chemicals from the high levels of bromide. We'll run out of drinking water. It's already starting to become a problem in certain areas across the country. More earthquakes from the higher pressure in the shale, damaging homes, could even kill people. I'm not saying fracking needs to stop, but it needs to be regulated.